Here's your news for August 2nd, 2020. And your headlines for today include WWE gets a huge response for Bray Wyatt attack on Alexa Bliss. Details of Kofi Kingston's absence revealed. Charlotte Flair drops post-surgery photos. Ric Flair trying to manage Randy Orton at WWE SummerSlam. WWE wrestler is all set for another name change in WWE. Why WWE moved Raw superstar back to NXT. Former NXT superstars set to debut in AEW. WWE signs popular Evolve star to NXT contract, more to follow. Is WWE planning for another WWE draft? Is AEW planning to book a match between Chris Jericho and Lance Storm? Major update on Big Cass, EC3 reached out to AEW, and more. We're kicking off today with news from SmackDown, as one particular segment from this week's show seemed to have struck a chord with fans. During the 2-hour show, Bray Wyatt's Fiend appeared and attacked Alexa Bliss in a creepy segment, which culminated on Bliss selling the mandible claw in the ring. On YouTube, the video of this particular segment quickly reached over 1 million views, over double the second most watched video from this week's show, which is the Nikki Cross vs. Bayley match that led into the Fiend's attack. It's no secret that male-on-female attacks in WWE are a rare thing today, which may explain why so many went to YouTube to relive the eerie segment. WWE pays a lot of attention to how they're doing on social media, and time will tell what Bliss's old mixed match challenge partner and Universal Champion Braun Strowman has to say about the Fiend's attack ahead of the pair's rumored title match at SummerSlam. One person who didn't appear this week is Kofi Kingston, who announced on last week's SmackDown that he's off injured, but apparently that isn't the case. Though the former WWE champion gave his blessing for Big E to have a singles run, citing an injury, Tom Colohue revealed on the latest Dropkick discussions that Kingston is doing fine, and his 6 weeks off is actually to spend some time with his family. Colohue added that this isn't a specific rule for the former WWE champion, as he said, "The WWE have mentioned to every member and talent they have in that locker room. They have said to them, if you want to opt out of working, if you want to go home and spend some time with your family, just tell us." This is reportedly why Daniel Bryan hasn't been around as of late, as he and Brie Bella are preparing for the birth of their second child, and why Kevin Owens was recently absent from Raw for a couple of weeks. It's interesting that WWE would use a fake injury story to write Kofi off TV, and with Xavier Woods still on the shelf with a very real Achilles injury, this could be Big E's time to shine as a singles star. One person fans haven't seen lately is Charlotte Flair, who recently shared some post-surgery photos online. On Instagram, the former women's champion seemed happy with the results of the surgery, which was to fix some medical issues she'd been putting off for quite some time. Her father Ric Flair had said recently that he wishes she'd had the surgery a long time ago, but instead she continued to work, and it's also being reported that Flair has been looking at some acting roles in her time away from the ring. There's still no word on when the Queen will return to WWE, though she's denied reports that she'll be gone for the rest of the year, and fans can expect Charlotte to be her ever-confident self when she does return. Speaking of the Flairs, Rick has been around recently aiding Randy Orton, and now the Nature Boy is hoping to have an appearance at SummerSlam. While speaking to TV Insider, the 16-time world champion spoke about his relationship with the Legend Killer, and the possibility of being Orton's manager. He said, "I would certainly love the opportunity, but I think it would have to be one of those scenarios. I'm trying to get me to manage Randy against Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. I don't know, I haven't heard back, but it's not because I'm not trying." Flair was showing up consistently on Raw until his wife Wendy tested positive, and though the dirtiest player in the game has said that she's doing much better now, we'll have to see whether WWE allows Rick to be at the biggest party of the summer. Speaking of the Legend Killer, Orton knows plenty about what happens outside of WWE, but he's not a fan of other companies. Last night, the Good Brothers and Rocky Romero hosted their Talkin' Shopomania pay-per-view, a show that Orton was against. Even before the event aired, the former world champion took to Twitter to say that he hoped the show failed miserably, whilst Heath Slater replied saying it's going to be as bad as diarrhea. Fortunately, this wasn't the case, as Gallows, Anderson, and Romero hosted a fun night of wrestling and skits, though don't expect Orton to be on Talkin' Shopomania 2 if that ever happens. Back to WWE now, and this week's SmackDown saw Shorty G have an attitude change, turning heel and attacking Matt Riddle, but he could also be in store for a name change too. A report from Wrestling News has said that fans can expect some big changes on the blue brand, reporting, another WWE source told WrestlingNews.co that fans should expect to see more underused talent on shows in the coming weeks. There has also been talk of having Chad Gable drop the Shorty G gimmick. It's possible that King Corbin, who Shorty G is now aligned with, could change his name back to Gable by a royal decree, and whilst we'll have to see how they go about things, the King and Gable make for an effective combination. Over to Raw now, and it wasn't too long ago that Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink were called up to the Red brand, but it seems their tenure has been cut short. Despite teases that the pair would be joining MVP's Hurt Business, the pair vanished from Raw, and now Thorne has been moved back to NXT, and he will face Bronson Reed on next week's show. There's no word on where Vink will go, and as he's not been seen on Raw in nearly 5 months, it's possible that he'll be joining the Gold brand soon as well. Speaking of NXT, the company cut a lot of their Gold brand stars on April 15th, but now another former superstar has made it to AEW. During Chris Jericho's Saturday Night Special, Le Champion revealed that Tainara Conti will be joining AEW and will debut in the Women's Tag Team Tournament by teaming with Anna Jay. Jericho revealed that Jay and Conti will face Nyla Rose and Ariana Andrews, aka Cameron, and though he didn't reveal who won this match, it's good to see the Brazilian star bounce back from her WWE release. Whilst WWE may have cut a lot of superstars earlier this year, they're still signing names, and this week signed one of Evolve's most popular stars. Gary Cassidy of Sportskeeda is reporting that Retro Anthony Green has signed an NXT contract, and that many more Evolve talents, including Kurt Stallion, are expected to follow. Evolve produced a lot of future WWE and NXT superstars, including Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, and Johnny Gargano. And although the company is not running shows and is now under WWE's umbrella, it'll be interesting to see who gets an offer next from WWE. Now, we all know that WWE likes to shake things up from time to time with a roster draft, but according to reports, that won't be happening anytime soon. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that the company have had plans for a draft, though like many plans the company has had this year, this has been scrapped due to the ongoing situation. The draft was originally meant to take place at the end of August before it was moved back to September, then October, and now there's no word on when the next draft will be, if there is one. A source for Fightful told them that WWE had informed some broadcast partners in June of both plans for a draft as well as plans for live events, which have now both been nixed. It's worth mentioning that the report said that there's no plans for WWE to end their brand split, but for now, don't expect to see The Fiend raising havoc on Raw or Seth Rollins on SmackDown for the time being. Over to AEW, and we're focusing on Chris Jericho, as the end of Le Champion's career just got a bit clearer. During a special Q&A for F4W Online, Lance Storm spoke about his friendship with Y2J and also spoke about a pact the two have that both of their last matches will be against each other. The former WWE producer added that he's still ready to honor this pact, saying, "I would certainly be open to doing the last match with Jericho. I'd love to do it that way. If it was in AEW or Jericho Storm Promotions on some indie show we do for ourselves, I'd be open to anything." Storm previously retired at ECW One Night Stand 2005, where he defeated Jericho, and with Y2J now 49 years old, we may be seeing his retirement match in the not-so-distant future. Speaking of Jericho, the former AEW World Champion has done plenty in his career, and that includes working with Rikishi. In his Saturday Night Special, Jericho even claims that he gave the super heavyweight Stinkface its name, saying he got the title from the Kevin Smith movie Mallrats, where someone gets the stink palm. Jericho added that he always loved working with Rikishi, and given that Jericho is also credited as the inventor of the Money in the Bank ladder match, it's clear that Y2J's creative genius wasn't just confined to the ring. We are focusing on Big Cass next, and after a roller coaster of a few years, it seems he's in a much better place. Whilst speaking to Sportskeeda, Cass's tag team partner Enzo Amore gave an update on the 7-footer, saying, "He's in the best shape of his life, bro. I saw him. He was in the mirror, for sure, showing me what he's been doing. We have that type of relationship, but at the same time I'm like, come on bro, take it easy dude, I believe you. You know what I mean? I know you're putting the work in. I'm proud of you, buddy. I'm proud of you." Fans will remember Cass's confrontation with Joey Janela last year, as well as him collapsing at a show, and we're pleased to hear he's in a better place. And we're ending with news from EC3 as the recently re-signed Impact star recently gave an interesting reply to AEW. When AEW asked fans to name a wrestler who personifies talent, production, and recognition, the 1%er replied with himself. And though we're not sure just how long EC3 will remain with Impact, it's clear he's ready to control his narrative in other companies.